Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we're uncovering a story that has left fans deeply emotional and completely stunned. A shocking leak, an emotional voice message from Lee Min-ho's song Hye Kyo has surfaced. And the reaction has been overwhelming, with fans moved to tears across the internet. What was said in that private message? Why did it touch so many hearts the moment it was heard? Stay with us and find out. Starting right now. It started the way most storms do in the digital age, quietly, almost invisibly. A short audio clip, less than a minute long, appeared late at night on a private fan forum. No caption, no explanation, just a file name that meant nothing to anyone at first glance. But within hours, the clip had traveled far beyond its original corner of the internet, igniting a wave of emotion that no one could have predicted. Those who listened said the same thing afterward. It didn't sound staged. It didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded raw. A man's voice, recognizable, trembling at the edges, spoke slowly, as if choosing each word with care. There was no background noise, no music, no dramatic build. Just breath, pauses, and a tone heavy with something unresolved. The message wasn't long. Carried the weight of years. As the clip spread, whispers turned into certainty. Fans believed they knew whose voice it was. And more importantly, who it was meant for. By morning, social media was on fire. Hashtags climbed rapidly. Timelines flooded with shocked reactions, and heart emojis, and posts that simply read, "I wasn't ready for this." Some fans refused to listen, calling it an invasion of privacy. Others admitted they couldn't stop replaying it, not out of curiosity, but because it made them feel something deeply human. What struck listeners most wasn't what was said. It was said. The voice cracked once, barely noticeable unless you were listening closely. There was a pause near the end, long enough to feel uncomfortable, followed by a quiet exhale that sounded almost like restraint giving way to exhaustion. "This wasn't meant for us," one fan wrote. "That's why it hurts." As speculation intensified, moments resurfaced. Old interviews replayed with new meaning. Award show glances once dismissed as polite suddenly felt charged. Lines from past dramas, once considered fiction, were now being quoted as if they were echoes of real emotion. The internet began stitching together a narrative from fragments, memories, and longing. No official confirmation came. No denial either. And that silence only made the leak feel louder. Day unfolded, the reaction shifted from shock to something heavier. Fans weren't just surprised, they were grieving something they couldn't quite name. The voice message didn't reveal secrets outright. Confess love or assign blame. But it carried a vulnerability rarely heard from someone so carefully guarded by public image. People described feeling like they had overheard a moment that wasn't meant to be witnessed, a private reckoning caught between memory and regret. Some said the message sounded like closure. Believed it sounded like a goodbye that had taken too long to be spoken. Industry insiders, speaking anonymously, urged caution. Audio files could be edited. Context could be missing. Even those warnings couldn't dull the emotional impact. Whether real, altered, or misunderstood, it had already done its work. It had pierced the distance between celebrity and audience, reminding everyone that behind fame and perfection were real voices capable of breaking. Later that evening, something unexpected happened. Fans noticed a subtle change, an old post quietly removed, a comment disabled, a profile unusually silent. No statements were released. No legal threats made public. Just stillness. That stillness spoke volumes. Online discussion softened. The tone shifted from frenzy to reflection. People began asking not what the message meant, but why it affected them so deeply. Many admitted it reminded them of their own unsent messages. Words left unspoken. Emotions buried because timing was wrong or courage came too late. By nightfall, the clip was no longer just a leak. It had become a mirror. Somewhere between outrage and empathy. Fans reached an unspoken agreement: certain moments shouldn't be dissected endlessly. The message, whatever its origin, felt fragile. And fragility demands care. Whether the voice note was authentic or misunderstood, one truth remained undeniable. It touched something real. It cut through curated images and perfect narratives, exposing the vulnerability everyone carries but rarely shows. And that is why people cried. Not because of scandal. Not because of romance. Because, for a brief moment, they heard honesty. unguarded and aching, slipped through the cracks of a world built on performance. Long after the audio stopped playing, echo remained, not in headlines, but in the quiet realization that some voices, once heard, change the way we listen forever. As this story comes to an end, what remains is not the shock of a leak, but the emotion it revealed. Beyond headlines and speculation, the voice message reminded us that behind every public figure is a human being capable of vulnerability, regret, deep feeling. Sometimes, it is not the words themselves that move us, but the honesty carried in a voice when no one is meant to be listening. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. Sincerely appreciate your time, your attention, and with which you followed this story. If this moment resonated with you, we invite you to continue exploring more thoughtful and meaningful stories with us. This has been Behind the Bulletin. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again.